The storm outside raged like a war echo from another life. Inside a dimly lit cabin deep in the Idaho woods, Sergeant David Keller sat silently in his old wooden chair, facing the window. He barely blinked. The rhythmic tapping of rain on glass was the only sound, a lullaby of grief he'd grown too used to. 7 years had passed since the night everything changed. 7 years since that blistering ambush in Kandahar when fire rained from the skies, and blood painted the sand. That night, he lost more than fellow soldiers. He lost Max, his partner, his battle buddy, his best friend. His dog. David had always been a quiet man. But war carved a different silence in him. Before the service, he was a mechanic who loved football and backyard barbecues. Afterward, he was someone else entirely. His medals collected dust in a box under the bed. His uniform hung lifeless in the closet. And Max's collar, singed from that last mission, remained tucked inside his nightstand like a sacred relic. Some nights, he'd take it out just to hold it. To remember. He never saw Max's body. Just a report. Presumed Kiev last seen during hostile engagement. The military sent a plaque, a medal, and a condolence letter. But no closure. If you believe in loyalty, second chances, or the healing power of animals, please pause for a moment, like this video, subscribe to Positive Tales, and comment below what you believe in. These are stories that remind us, love doesn't die in war. After discharge, David moved with his wife, Julie, to a remote town in Idaho, hoping the mountains could muffle the screams in his head. Julie was his anchor, always had been. But even she couldn't reach the places inside him that had gone dark. The worst part wasn't the memories, it was the emptiness where Max used to be. That dog had slept by his bunk every night in Afghanistan. Had pulled him out of rubble. Had saved his life during 2 IED attacks. Max wasn't just trained, he was family. Julie tried everything. Therapy, meditation, even adopting a dog named Tucker, a sweet golden mix with floppy ears and too much energy. But David couldn't connect. Tucker wasn't Max. No one could be. Years drifted by like smoke. David worked part-time fixing old pickup trucks in the town garage. He rarely spoke more than necessary. Every morning he'd walk a quiet trail behind their cabin, just out of habit. He'd often stop at a clearing near a stream, kneel, and whisper, "You'd have loved this place, Max." Then one day, the impossible happened. It was a Sunday afternoon. Rain again. David sat on the couch with a mug of cold coffee, flipping through channels without really watching. And then, he saw it. A news segment, retired combat dog finds home after surviving war. A gray-muzzled German Shepherd filled the screen, sitting beside a volunteer at a veteran rehabilitation shelter in Oregon. David's eyes locked onto the screen. The scar across the dog's left shoulder, it was the same. His posture. The familiar tilt of his head. 1,000 memories flooded back in seconds. Max chasing him through obstacle courses. Max barking with joy when he found hidden explosives. Max curled up against him on cold desert nights. He dropped the mug. It shattered on the floor. "Julie," he yelled. His wife rushed in, alarmed. She found him pale, trembling, pointing at the screen. "That's him," he whispered. "That's Max." Julie acted fast. She rewound the news, snapped photos of the screen, and started searching the shelter's name. It was real. And the shelter was just over 500 miles away. David didn't care. He was going. He left that night, long before sunrise. The drive was endless, through mountains, rain, and doubt. Could it really be Max? Could a dog survive war, disappear, and come back? The shelter was a modest facility in rural Oregon, surrounded by open land. When David arrived, the receptionist greeted him with kindness but skepticism. She explained the dog, named Ghost by staff, had been found near a war-torn Afghan village, protecting children, refusing to leave. Relief workers had taken him in. His military tattoo was faded, unreadable. But his training and scars told a clear story: this dog had seen war. They led David outside to a fenced-in yard where the dog rested under a tree. David stopped. The moment stretched like eternity. The old German shepherd lifted his head. Alert. Curious. He stood slowly. Sniffed the air. And then, a change. A low whine escaped his throat. His ears perked. His body tensed, but not in fear. Recognition. Max ran. David fell to his knees as 80 pounds of fur and muscle slammed into him, tail wagging furiously, barking and whining in disbelief. The volunteers stood frozen. David buried his face in Max's neck. You came back, he sobbed. You found your way home. The next few days were a blur of reunions and revelations. Shelter staff pulled Max's microchip data, corrupted. But a single photo from David's phone, taken during deployment, sealed the truth. Max, beside him in uniform, same scar, same eyes. Same soul. David brought him home. That first night, Max walked the house slowly, recognizing smells, corners, memories. When he reached David's bedroom, he climbed onto the rug at the foot of the bed and curled up without hesitation. Tucker joined him. And just like that, the house was whole again. David changed after that. He laughed more. Ate more. Slept soundly for the first time in years. The town learned the story, and it spread. People stopped him in the grocery store. Veterans cried at his doorstep. Children asked to meet Max. Local news picked it up. Then national outlets. But David didn't care about fame. He cared about the fact that somehow, the universe had given him back the piece of his heart he thought was buried in the sand. He and Max began volunteering at the same Oregon shelter, helping other vets find healing through dogs. Max would gently nudge anxious soldiers, lay beside them as they told stories they hadn't spoken in years. He was a healer, just like always. But time moves forward, even for warriors. Max slowed down. His gait became stiff. His eyes a little cloudy. But his spirit never dimmed. On his final walk through the woods, David carried him part of the way, tears silently running down his cheeks. Max rested his head on David's shoulder, just like in the old Humvees. That night, he passed peacefully, surrounded by love. David buried him under the tall pine tree by the stream, the same place he used to whisper to the wind. He placed Max's collar on the branch above and sat beside it, whispering, "You found your way back. You kept your promise. So did I." If this story moved you, if it reminded you of the loyalty that never dies, the love that crosses oceans, or the hope that refuses to fade, please like this video, subscribe to Positive Tales, and share it with someone who needs light in the darkness. Special request, comment below if you've ever had an animal that changed your life or came back to you when you needed them most. Let's fill the comments with stories of hope, loyalty, and unconditional love.